educate people on what is going on within the states and the country.
Sorry, take a break.
All right. So we know that we as young people are very creative, right? Especially with the advent of social media. So how can we use that creativity to drive change?
Thank you very much. I want to thank the organizers. Thank you very much. I want to thank the organizer of this event. It's timely. It's very timely. I'll go straight to your question. So I'll use the 2023 election as an example. Prior to that time, I liked Peter Obi. I wanted to be president of Nigeria. I met Radical, who was rival at that time also. And for me, these were the guys that were to take Lagos State forward and Nigeria forward. I have no idea how to go about it. I've never done any election before in my life. I've never contested, I've never advised any aspect ever. But how we went about it was to speak to young people. What can we do about this? What can we do to create that change we want in our country? And because many peaceful ideas, e.g., we had this WhatsApp bulk SMS messages which was sent to negotiators where it arose, can we go to a valuable, blah, 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 blah. And it's something that was never ever done before. And most negotiators got that message. So it was done every other day. I don't think the APC or other parties had that idea, that kind of innovation to do something like that. There were times we went on social media, we tell young people, and there are like hundreds of thousands, that, okay, look, on each day, put Obi's picture as your status on WhatsApp. Nobody thinks that way. Nobody in the other parties think or will, have that kind of idea of how to create that kind of awareness. And check, during Lagos at that time, we were mostly not allowed to put billboards of that party because who votes for Lagos. So we had to think outside the box. And it was young people that brought these ideas, this creativity for us to move the message we wanted for our candidates. And there are many other different initiatives that we did at that time to push our agenda. So yes, the nation that we have right now, we saw just the floor price went to 1,000 on certain areas. People are crying, people are groaning, people are discouraged. But young people can think outside the box to drive that change we need in this country. Yes, people say protest. But we are in a stage now where protest is just like you are risking life of your fellow young people. There are creative ways we can, force that change. So I won't give up on Nigeria. I told I'll never give up on Nigeria. I'll never give up. My business are in Nigeria. I've had the chance to locate after NSAS. I said I'm not going anywhere. We'll sit down there, we'll be here for force that change through creative ways, really.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, please clap. All right, so the next question is something that we kind of lost on in the last panel session, and this one is for my beautiful Mrs. AREMU. All right, so we all, as young people, we want change. However, a lot of us do not have the information that we need to be able to even effect that change. So how can we get that information? We already kind of talked about it, but I want to hear from your point of view.
All right, thank you very much. When I saw that this topic is about youth engagement, the first thought that came to my mind was the NSAS movement back in 2020. We put a lot of effort and we saw results right. We made positive change, and I think that kind of raised or awakened the consciousness of the government by wanting to please us. I'm close to the protest that was set for sometime in August. I think August 1 or 10th or something of this particular year. I remember like a week or few days to the planned protest, the government started dishing out different things that they will do, things that they have done, self-appraisal, and what they will intend to do. So that shows that we are a moving force. We have this force, like we have this power that is inherent in us that we do not even know that we have. We have the power to influence decisions and weighing about knowing the right information as youth. You know that the 1999 Constitution has given us that right to seek for information, receive and impart knowledge. It is in section 39 of the 1999 Constitution. It's equally in section in Article 9 of the African Charter, then Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. So you have the right to ask for information. Before you can even demand accountability, transparency, if you are not armed with the necessary information or if you are not informed on what you even want to ask, I don't think you'll be asking the right question. So the Constitution is there to guide you to ask the necessary information. And we also have the Freedom of Information Act. I don't know if you are aware of that. It's a beautiful piece of legislation passed into law in 2011. Even though it was passed into law in 2011, it is still very underutilized. People don't ask for information. The thing is, with the Freedom of Information Act, you have the right to ask any public officer making use of public funds, ask information on public records. So far, you're not asking them their personal information. They are there to serve us. If democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, then you should be involved in governance. How do you involve in governance if you don't ask questions? Then that means that you're not interested. I usually say that there's tendency for people to get away with, or our leaders at the local government level to get away with so much infractions. The reason being that we do not seem to be interested. Our focus is usually fixated on the state governors, on the president. Hey, Tinubu has done it. Someone is not doing well. The other time when I listened to what we were saying, and when we were going to town meetings dressed like them, do you know that all of us were in the grassroots? Even if you stay in Abuja, there is a local government you reside in Abuja. So you belong to a grassroots area in that particular area you reside. You might be living in the city, but the reality is that you belong to a local government. Your house is situated in the local government. So that is the grassroots area where you belong to. If you don't ask questions, you get away with so much infractions. Okay. With this financial autonomy, that means that the local government will be getting more funds. The funds will be getting to their hands directly. They will be making use of the funds on our behalf. And just like Aaron said the other time, they generate a lot of funds internally through taxes, levies, licenses, and all of that. But we are not asking the right question. The Freedom of Information Act, the Constitution has empowered us to ask questions. So it's not left for us to use it.
Thank you so much. So I know you talked a lot about information, but how can we actually get that information? Who do we talk to? Who do we meet to get the information that we require?
So the first thing you should know is that when you are a leader, you are just there to represent you, because we can't just occupy the seat ourselves. For other leaders, all of us, we cannot go to the House of Assembly and say we want to be in the House of Assembly. It's not possible. So we have to elect someone that would represent us, right? So when we have this mindset that these people are there to represent us, then the question you're asking, you won't be asking, I'm sorry, because you will know that this is my leader and this person is accountable to me. Who am I to be to ask for those information, if not my leaders? I have to ask them questions on what they are doing to make my life better. If you have received a certain amount of money, I have the right to ask you, how are you spending this money on my behalf? What are you doing for us? So that is it. You have to ask them. You can ask information from your leaders, political office holders, public agencies, institutions, NDAs, and all of that. So far, it is on public records.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramo. All right, so the next question is for Mr. Joshua. So, we know that budget's entirety, right, is around seeking accountability. Now, how can you say, she has kind of talked about it, but I also want to hear from your own perspective as well. How can you say we can demand accountability for local government champions, for our leaders in general?
All right, so thank you, everyone, for even choosing to be part of this. Getting information is very key because, as they say, knowledge is power, and information as well is also power. So, I love the perspective that I've been getting on this since we started this, and it has to do with intentionality. We're youths, we are Gen Zs, we are people that should be information driven. The urge for us to seek for information must be very key in us, just like you mentioned, definitely you know that you're going to be having somebody to be representing you at all levels. So if you're talking about local government, for example, you have the ward levels before you even get to local government itself. So you have a councillor that is in charge of the work. And then you know also that this councillor, the work of the councillor is to provide leadership in that work. She mentioned something about anarchy. You cannot have everybody leading at the same time, and that's why you have specific set of people occupying certain positions. You understand? And that is one of the reasons why you have them there. So, and you know that they are accountable to you, and you must ask them the right questions. So, if you want information about some of these town hall meetings that we've been talking about, for example, you have to be intentional about it. Speak to your councillor, speak to your local government channel. You may not even have access to the local government channel, for example, but you have an organ, which is the head of local government administration, for example. So they are there in the local government to serve. You understand? So you have the National Assembly members. Of course, we all know that oftentimes they are not going to be at their offices, but you have the offices situated with you in your locality, so you have access to all of these people to get information from them.
So you can go to them.
Of course, you can, and that's why they're actually there. Yes, and if you talk about MDAs, for example, that's ministry departments and agencies. You can always write to them to get information. Of course, we also all know that you may not be getting all this information from it, but then you will not be deterred. You have to continue to ensure that
so you have to just keep pressing it until you get the results that we require.
Exactly, yeah.
Thank you. You want to say something on that?
I'd like to react to what he said. Yes, it's good to be intentional, but how many of us know our government chairman, our councillors, like truly, how many of us know our government chairman? So if you alone go and start to ask the government chairman, oh please, this road is bad, it doesn't do anything, really. So I've said to my team, next year we'll have citizens engagement where we will speak to Nigerian young people all over the country on they should know their rights. They should know that these councillors, these LG chairmen are people that work for you. You don't work for them, you don't tax them, they work for you. This citizen engagement is for people to know who your LG chairmen are, know that you can have a better life. He was telling me that he knows some of the work I do, blah, 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 when we fix boreholes and all that. That is the minimum level of life you should live. The level of life people should live in Nigeria for a oil-producing nation is running water in your home, not borehole where people kill you with fetch water. It's, for me, disgusting. But we do it anyways, but it's disgusting. You should have running water in your home, all over the country. So people don't know they can have that kind of life. They don't know. They genuinely don't know. I can't blame them. So this kind of citizens engagement is for us to go around. Who is your elder chairman? We'll ask them. Ensure that everybody knows who they are talking to or who they should talk to. And force those elder chairmen and councillors to act. Because if I go alone, he goes alone, she goes alone. You're like, okay, you can't make his voice, I'm pretty sure. But when everybody's pressurizing the elder chairman, it's either they run away from that seat or they do something.
All right.
That's my own stance.
Thank you so much. Okay.
So just quickly react to what he said. You know, the other time you mentioned that we should keep seeking for information, even though when we don't get the information we're seeking for, that we shouldn't be deterred, right? But do you know that there are redress that you could pursue when this information is being denied? For instance, under the Freedom of Information Act, after you've written to the receiving agency, you've given them a time duration of 7 days, and after the expiration of the 7 days, if you have not received the information that you sought, you could file an application in court asking the court to compel that agency, yes, or the public officer to provide that information to you. We've done so much, we've done a lot regarding that in SERAP. So if you need support, you can always reach out to us, we can collaborate, do that together as well.
Thank you so much. All right, you still want to.
All right, thank you so much for bringing that up. You were actually signaling to me, and then I couldn't actually bring that up, but that's fine. All right, so I want to say something about what we just talked about. So BudgIT has an arm that's called Tracker, and that's the service delivery arm of BudgIT. So in Togo State, where I served as the state officer, for example, there was a community in Ijebu. You may not be familiar with Ijebu, but this community, they had a provision of the road to be constructed. So I went there, we held a community sensitization with the community and all of that. And then the good thing I discovered about this community is the fact that, okay, so the project was worth 40 million at that time. That's around maybe 2021 or thereabout. So the good thing about this was that the contractor was not forthcoming. But inside this publication that we make on a yearly basis, so what we do is try to simplify the information for the people. We bring it into publication, the budget line items, we make it into publication, and then we give it to different communities for them to have access to this information. You know, so we gave it to the community, and they took it up upon themselves and said, this senator that's a senator. That's a senator that's not even a local government channel. That's a senator in channel. They took the pamphlet to the senator's residence and told them we were aware of this certain provision worth 40 million naira, and we demanded this is going to be done in our locality. Now, when the contractor eventually came, they did a sharp job for them. You understand? But because of the information they had, they took it upon themselves to say, no, you're not going to give us this quality. We know what is allocated to this, and this we must get from you. And good to inform everyone today that the contractor actually yielded to what they wanted from them, and the project was delivered to them.
Right.
So that's to tell you that if you're actually intentional with the information you have with you, you can actually achieve a lot. I'm talking about a senator that will not even be in the locality most of the time. What do you now say of a local government channel that is even resident in that local government itself? Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, so the next question is for Morris. So I know we've talked about attending town hall meetings and this and that, but let's not lie. Let's not parrot ourselves. It can be a lot of things. So can you please talk about the rascality of the local government and how it can affect us as youth?
So, the LGES, the rascality stems from higher power in terms of, so there's a culture in Nigeria before this autonomy stuff. There's a culture in Nigeria where the governor picks the LG chairman. I mean, everything that happens is the year and say of the governor, not really concerns the. Let's look at river states.
So you can say that the local government chairman is kind of like a figure in a sense?
Yes. I mean, all force comes to the governor does as a business, you know, so that's just the head and tail of all the rascals that goes on. You know, but we hope with this new court judgment that things change. The LG chairman have some kind of accountability. They will, have some sort of responsibility. That, you know what, this LG is for us. We don't have anybody we're answering to. And, you know, they'll calm down, as we say, from Jersey, they'll calm down, you know. So yeah, just look at the River State, for example. River Scarcity there is the likes I've never seen before in my life. I've never seen something before, and
When ex-governor and governor are fighting for the same thing.
for the same cake, and the people who are suffering,
Yes.
so because the voluntary LG secretariats, who will do this? It's people's money, it's not some MPK's money or foreigners' money, it's people's money. So I've never seen that kind of respect in my life, and I hope the president calls Wike to order
Yes.
and get us sorted as soon as possible. Even though it's the benefit of the president,
So
but
the president should communicate with that.
yes.
Okay, we hope. Alright, so the next question is for Mrs. AREMU. So I know that we've been saying accountability. Can you please tell us why we should demand accountability?
We should demand accountability because we have to participate in governance. And it is our resources that is being used. And if these resources get into wrong hands, if they are mismanaged, who will be affected by the outcome? We are the one. We will be the one to fly on the bad roads. We will be the one to go to the health center that is nowhere equipped. And that would increase child mortality, child death rates, the mortality rate, and all of that. So who suffers it? We as women, we are susceptible already to these things. We are vulnerable. We have a lot to do as mothers. We have a lot to do as wives. Yet we do not have access to basic amenities. So we still be the ones to suffer it. So it is better we demand for accountability so that we will not suffer. Our money will be judiciously used for us, and it will not get into wrong hands. And when it gets into wrong hands, then we can demand for those monies to be recovered from them and used for what they ought to be used for. I said it the other time that the local government chairmen are not shielded under the immunity clause, and that is true. Unlike the president, the vice president, the governors of the states, and the deputies. So if you have the information that your local government chairman has embezzled money or has mismanaged the funds that were appropriated to him for the use of the community, you can actually write so that it will be investigated. You can kickstart the investigation process by reporting to the anti-graft agencies, to the police and all of that, so that it will be prosecuted even while you're in office. You don't have to wait when he leaves the office. Yes, so you can recover that money immediately. So if you have this mindset that, this money is for my own benefits, it is for the benefit of those in the community, it is for the benefit of those in my family, they will know that we will follow our money closely to see how it is being used. For instance, whenever the Auditor General's report is being released, and we see that there are certain monies that have been reported to be missing, projects abandoned and all of that, we as citizens in my office, we follow closely to see where this money has ended, like where this money is, so that we can see how we can recover these monies. And I'll give you an example. There was a time we received a report in Osun State from a citizen like us. That's why we have to be intentional. So that person called and said, the former speaker in that state, that state they were supposed to embark on a water project that will serve about 3 states, Osun, Oyo, and Ekiti. And that water project was not done, even though the money has been disbursed for that purpose. And the thing is, the former speaker awarded that contract to himself, which is conflict of interest, and he ought not to have done that. So when we received that information, we called the sitting speaker at that time. We said, sir, this is information we got from a citizen, from someone residing in Osun State. And the person said, so amount of money has been disbursed for the implementation and execution of the water project. However, we've not gotten that project and we are suffering. He apologized. He said we shouldn't go support. We shouldn't institute any action against it. That would ensure that the needful is done, and we should please cover him. That was said. So we got the information shortly after that the water project has been implemented, erected, and all of that. And we had to call the whistleblower that is that true? The person confirmed that. So you would see the way the person participated in governance because the person knows that if this water project is not erected, who would suffer?
Affect me
The
too.
speaker has ball in his hand.
You
Water. I would be the one to deny the access to basic amenities. So we should know that if we don't follow these monies closely, we'll still be the ones to be affected. Really.
Thank you. Everybody, please give a round of applause for that. Alright, so before I ask the next question, please, I want to remind us to put together our questions, and after that, we'll start taking questions from the audience. So the same question, why do you think that we should demand accountability, Mr. Joshua?
All right, thank you so much. Accountability is very important. Okay, so you, for example, you have given me an assignment to do for you,
Okay.
and then you give me the assignment, and then you just left without asking me what have you done with this. And that's the problem with the citizenry and the government. The people that we have chosen to govern us, we have given them assignments over us. So we are saying, okay, we have entrusted our lives into your hands for the next 4 years. All right? And so what becomes of us lies solely in the decisions we are going to be making in the space of these 4 years. So it is not wise enough for us to go back and then sit down and feel whatever you do with our lives in the next 4 years, we are okay with it. No. So we must keep engaging. We must always be sure that we are constantly in the know of what is happening at all levels, be involved in whatever information that is out there, be involved in every okay, for example, I want to pick from one of Errol's Instagram posts. I actually checked, and I was checking for the first time today. I saw that he shared that, and I think he started the conversation by saying, do you know that every month your local government gets 100 million, or it can be more, 150 million. And then if I'm telling you right here that a lot of local governments in Nigeria actually gets nothing less than, especially now that the fact that
Yes.
they get nothing less than 600 million. And that's not taking in cognizance the other monies that is coming into the local government's purse. Because we are already established here that they also have the avenue of making of getting IGRs for their local government. So what are they doing with this money? Who is actually bothered about this? Don't forget I should mention that if all of these things are not done, the local government chairman may not have anything to suffer for it. It is we. I came from Ogun State this morning, for example, and then while I was flying the road, I discovered that, and I think I wanted to tweet about this in the morning, but I just left it for a while. Maybe I'll still do it today before the end of the day. But you know, I discovered that we were on an highway, they abandoned one side of the road, and then we were taking just one lane of that road, of that highway. That's to tell you that the other lane is faulty. I have tracked, I was the one that tracked the Sukuk Bond project along that route about 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know, how much the federal government was getting on that road, how the road was progressing and all of that. But at the point, it has gotten deteriorated to the extent that the road is no longer functional. And then you have the federal government that is not bothered about all of these federal roads, that is more concerned about a coastal road that is leading nowhere. What is the need for a coastal road that is leading from Lagos to Calabar? Now, despite the fact that we have a lot of deteriorated roads all across the states of the country. You understand? You cannot, I know a lot of people have questioned the procurement process for that project, that particular project, and nobody's answering. You understand? And that tells us that we getting involved in all of these processes cannot be overemphasized in any way, because we get to suffer. Okay, so let me give you an instance, for example. In Sokoto, for example, there's a place that is called Kafi in Sokoto State. When we got to the committee, we discovered that talking from tracker perspective now, of course, we discovered that the people, the patients in that place were receiving treatment under a mango tree. No, don't be shocked by that because we have a lot of that across the country. Okay, so I have been to a community in Ogun State. It is called AREMU in Wipokia local government. The students were actually learning under a mango tree as well.
So the mango trees are not
So when you have mango trees across everywhere, so you know that they have dual functions. There's either for them to serve as shelters when the actual structures are not going to be functional anymore. That is the vision I'm limited anyways. Alright, so in cafe, we discovered that the people were receiving treatment under the mango tree. And this is the same cafe where a certain amount, about 20 million at that time, has been allocated for the construction of for the rehabilitation of the center. But nothing was being done. It was until we got there and then we engaged the community, even the center. Why are these people here? This is inhumane for people to be treated under a mango tree. So apparently they were actually lying on bare floor, and then we have the branches of the tree being used as tree stands for treatment to be administered to people. You can imagine how inhumane that can be. And then so we interfaced with all the stakeholders, and eventually the project was brought on board, and then people were now able to access the facility and do whatever they were supposed to do. But what I'm trying to drive at actually is that all of these things may not have been possible actually if we all have decided to look off those things. You know, so they will just continue to be there. The money was there actually. The money was there, but nobody, the people who were supposed to do it are shying away from their responsibility because they were waiting for an organization like BudgIT to come on board and say, this is what we have. Now let me give us this before I wrap up. BudgIT has a platform now that is called www.govspend.ng. Govspend is GOVSPEND.ng. So what you do with this platform is you are able to know what government is spending on your behalf. So if you go there and you go to explore, for example, and you put, give me one location here, maybe Koshofe, for example, or just Koshofe, you put Koshofe on that place, and then you choose the date. It's going to give you information on disbursement details, to who the payment was made to, for what purpose was made, the receipt of the payment, and the contractor that is going to be in charge of the payment payment. So we have gone that far to ensure that people are equipped with information. You know, so when you have all of this, and I'm so happy, we are so happy in BudgIT to understand the fact that a lot of media organizations, even individuals, are taking initiative from gospel. So we get a caption now that says government meant to do so, but we got that they have released so. So most of this information, we were not generating data by ourselves. You understand? So we got all of this information from the federal government also. So we also have another one, so sorry, that is called Tracker Hub. What the Tracker Hub does, no, I've not even mentioned that. The Tracker Hub, what it does is, it gives you information on allocations. So like, when Eros was here and was talking about allocation, I just went to check for Koshofe government, what they've been getting as far back as 2022. Koshofe was getting nothing less than 569 million naira on monthly basis. That's as far back as 2022. So now that the federal allocation to all the local government has increased, how much do you think we'll be getting? So I think I should stop it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Alright, questions. Thank you.
Question.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Rosen. I'm very proud of the wonderful work that you guys do. One of your biggest fans. I wanted to ask, percentage-wise, with the interventions that you make in terms of this accountability conversation, and I'm not talking about just the SERAP results, what percentage of your interventions will you see yields results. Because you give fantastic examples. I want to know of all the impact that you guys have in terms of sharing information and calling the government out, or calling stakeholders, the attention of stakeholders, to understand what people are doing with their money, their commonwealth. What percentage of that is still their results? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Barrow, for that. So, basically, I'll say it is very minute, very minute. For example, I want to take the answer is going to be in two folds. One I've already given you, that's the very minute part. I want to make an analogy from the data I gathered recently from the 2023 projects. So we did all our analysis and we discovered that out of about 22,000 projects or more, we have about 87 success stories. Is that saying anything to us? 22,000 projects, 87 success stories. Now, the 87 success stories we were able to harvest were projects we have direct impacts on. Yeah. So, but the second answer to this is going to be we are making a lot of efforts and we are making a lot of progress. Now, communities are now more informed, they are now more aware of what the government has in store for them. They can ask questions, they can demand accountability from government at all tiers of government actually. So that is that. Overall, we know that we still have a lot of work to do in the country, definitely. And that is one of the take-homes that I'm going to take away from this event, that all ends must actually come on board. There is nothing you are doing that is not meaningful as much as, as far as discussion on accountability and transparency is all about. Nobody's doing too much of that. Nobody's going to be doing too much of that. I think I want to stop there. Thank you.
Can you show please?
Thank you very much. Yes, there is one question to SERAP.
Yes.
So I might not be able to speak to the percentage, but I think we are doing fantastically well. And I know you're going to tell us that the reason being that bringing information to the front burner for discussion is a win on its own. People get to talk about these things. You raise the consciousness of the citizens to talk about issues that affect them and how it will affect them. Then I'll now mention about 3 results that we can all relate to. I'll begin by saying during the Twitter ban, people were looking for means to boycott the ban by using VPN. We had to go to the ECOWAS court, even though we found the case in court, asking the court to challenge the unlawful ban. But we felt that before we would get judgment, what happens to those that are boycotting this platform? And the DNG said anyone found using VPN will be prosecuted for that. So we went to the ECOWAS court, and the ECOWAS court gave a restraining order that nobody should be prosecuted until the final determination of that suit. And we got judgment in that suit in which the ECOWAS court held that the Twitter ban was unlawful, and even warned the federal government to desist from silencing the same views and all of that. Then another one was when we went to challenge the Cybercrimes Act and the ECOWAS court, particularly Section 27 of that act, which is being used to harass or oppress, intimidate bloggers, media houses, and all of that. And the ECOWAS court directed the federal government of Nigeria to amend that particular Section 24, and the Section 24 has been amended. Another case I'd like to mention is double emoluments being received by former governors who are now service directors. The instituted an actual report. We argue that according to Section 2A of the Public Officers Code of Conduct for Public Officers, that double emoluments in a public office, you are not supposed to be receiving another emolument in another public office. But we have former governors receiving salaries, allowances, they are receiving pension as former governors, Yes, and they are still receiving salaries as sitting senators. So we can look at in court. Then Governor Saraki wants to pass the government that they should stop paying him his pension as former governor, then pay that and another governor recently as well. So and we're able to secure the anomalies of these pension laws in some states. Pursuant to the Nigerian government reports. For instance, Lagos State reduced theirs by 50%, and the Imo State abolished, like different other states, they've abolished the pension law. And currently, we're in court against 8 ministers. When we got information that they are still receiving salaries as well, former governors as well, receiving pension and still receiving salaries as ministers. We're currently in court to challenge that as well. Thank you very much. I might not be able to give percentage, but I know we are doing our part. And what I said, I would like to thank God for us to work as a coalition. You know, there's strength in power. If we come together to do these things, we would yield better results. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the session. I'm going to quite so I have 2 questions briefly. So in terms of the mortality and protective measures, which brought, I'm sure you agree with me that we must implement when it comes to the judiciary and legislative system. So how do you really protect protective measures? How do you expect those protective measures that I would say the real pragmatic relation of the NA is that judiciary system? That's one. And 2, in terms of accelerating but I agree with you that for most local government areas, the people that are the factor of these resources are uneducated. So even if you give them this information, how do you ensure they understand the information to calculate, from an educated point of view? Thank you.
Okay, let's try some that's the question. And then
and my question goes to Mr. Joshua. You mentioned something about government spend, and I'm concerned because computer or ICT as it stands today is gathering the results. Are we sure of the integrity of the data that is shown into that system? And we are sure that it's not what they want us to see that we are seeing. That's my question.
let's take one more.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marcel and I'm also. So my question, the point of this conference is to sensitize Nigerians on the importance of our involvement in our locality. How do we sensitize more Nigerians? As my brother asked, we need to sensitize more people so and a lot of them might be uneducated in certain every local government is somebody that is, even the most intelligent people are still not involved in politics. You understand? So how do we sensitize people more? And I think we have an opportunity here because if you talk about locality, there's every tribe in every locality. Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, we're all in each locality. So I think this is an opportunity for us to unite Nigerians actually. It doesn't matter where she's from or where he's from. We're both in this locality. Our leaders have to respond to our needs. So how do we do more sensitization? Thank you.
Okay. I will start with the part that he said that how can we educate the uneducated people to get this information? The agencies now. And aside the digital advocacy that we do, it's also good about grassroots organization. The information that we have, because we are educated, we are informed, and we have better opportunity to get first-hand information as soon as they are being released. We can convert this information into the indigenous languages, share it with them, put it on the flyer, share it with them. And earlier during the first panel, it was said that a lot of people listen to the TV. They look like our old parents, they still read the newspaper, put it on print, and they like listening to the radio programs as well. For my office, we do radio campaign in which we educate people using our indigenous languages. We do mostly in Yoruba and Hausa, and we speak to these people, telling them their rights, speaking to them in the language that they understand. Because if you are speaking English, the purpose is defeated. They will not understand what you're saying. So we have to speak to them in the language they understand. And I also try them for all to do that as well. When you are buying your pepper, it doesn't have to be a formal conversation. When you are buying your pepper, you can even tell the pepper seller, Mama, this one that you are complaining that times are hard, things are hard. Do you know that? What the federal government is fully by also foresee, like that they're giving to the local government directly, is not much. Local government chairman, you know, like it will be an informal conversation, and you know that you have succeeded in enriching that person's knowledge. You don't have to ask for those basic information, just tell them. Then for protection of whistleblowers, you know it is ordinary. When you are releasing information as a whistleblower, the government has a duty to protect you, right? So I think there should be a whistleblower protection act in place that will adequately protect these people. But I can assure you that any whistleblower that reaching out to us in SERAP, the person's details will be adequately protected, the person's interest will be adequately protected. So like I said, the one that reached out to us in Ocean State, till now nobody knows him. We never mentioned his name. But the thing is, with the information he released to us, we were able to secure a result, a positive change. We don't even need your details. We want the information that can change the lives of people, and we have some of that information. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Adding to what you just said, which is as a tradition. So I'm taking the second and fourth person together. We democratize communication. And what I mean by that is part of what we do in FACA is to ensure that we hold town hall meetings with locals. So when I go for a town meeting like this, I'm not speaking like this. You know that I'm speaking language everybody understands. And that's the beauty of this. You have communication is about a speaker and hearers. People must be able to understand what you are communicating to. It's very key. We have our target audiences, and the communication must be targeted at each of these audiences. The way you communicate with Gen Z is different from, maybe slightly, from what you communicate with the millennials. So it's the same goes for all of them. You know, so we have different media through which we can do all of this. You understand? Just like she mentioned. And I know that we all are trying as much as possible to ensure that this information is out there. People can pick them, people can engage with them, people can act on them and bring results out of all of this. Yeah. Okay, so okay.
Also, democratization of town halls, how should be now. So during the election period, we had town halls and winners programs where we would invite everybody in that locality. So the one in the village, she knows the village more than me or you or every other person. They know the issues that are going on in that village. They know all the problems. And then to tell us what is going on, then compile it and say, look, this is your rep in that area. This is what you should be doing for this people. And yeah, we did that during the election and it worked very well. So
my project, and he gives me certain quotation, and I decided to add to it. Maybe it's going to earn from dealings as well. How is it supposed to be done to the community? Or how do you validate that Because in the Nigeria today, we know how bad corruption is, and this happens day in, day out. So I'm sorry to say that, in as much as that God spend is meant to show us the data, I still feel like it is not always accurate. Because yes, I agree with you that you can say, oh, you can still verge for the data that is churning, but truth be told, in the Nigeria of today, it is not what it is. So you will not let me leave this room today and tell me that that is an accurate data.
Right. Thank you. Please can we around our asking you that question. Sincerely speaking, you're very valid, but this is it. Our problems in the country are multi-dimensional actually. And I don't think there's anybody in this that wants to disagree with that. So the first thing is the data is out there. How are we using it? Just like you mentioned, if so amount of money was released for this project, what has been done on that? I think that should be the basis of the conversation. Okay, so now the project was any amount whatsoever released for that project. I think that's the baseline for the discussion. Now, if something was released, the next line of action should be, was anything done on what was released? Are you getting? So we go as far as trying to ensure that in as much as there are releases, there is also a tracking of the releases. Do you understand? Now, coming back to how faithful the contractors are now, we leave that to the judgment of everybody, all Nigerians. For example, you have a project that is worth maybe 50 million naira to construct a road, about a 2-kilometer road. My sister, we both should know that 50 million naira in this present Nigeria will not be able to do so much on that road. Do you understand? But you're talking about 2 billion, 2 point something billion naira now for a construction of maybe 500 kilometers. Then we know that definitely there are foul plays. Do you understand? So, but what we do basically is to ensure that the service that government has promised to provide for Nigerians is being provided. Now, we now leave it to the discretion of Nigerians to now decide, oh, was this well done? Was this not well done? Though occasionally we flag some of these issues. Now, some of them you discover that a building that was newly constructed, for example, you go there to inspect the building and you already discover that you have cracks on the walls. That tells you that this substandard project, this was not done qualitatively enough. That is fine. But there are others where you will not actually be able to decipher if the contractor actually did some sharp practices or not. So that will leave the judgment of Nigerians and maybe quantity surveyors who can now come up and say, oh, this and this, we know that you have done this and that in the process. I hope you are clear. And of course, I want to believe that we have access to Lococo in this hall. That's the federal government's platform for procurement. That's what what's it called now? Gives us details of how the procurement process from the beginning to the very end went. If you have access to that, that can also guide. And the Office of the Auditor General as well, thank you for that. They also issue out audit statements, though most of the audit statements that they release are always late. And that's another thing we're still fighting for, that it shouldn't be that late. You can't imagine you still just getting the audit statement for 2021 in this 2024. It doesn't make sense. So what correction do you want to make on something that has gone as far back as about 3 years ago and all of that? So those there are multi-dimensional issues, but we can only take them one step after the other. Thank you.